Hey there guys, gals and non-binary pals, and welcome back to my random Ruminations, the one with the Star Wars t-shirt. I can never figure out left or right on this camera. Anyway, so today I'm going to talk about something that's pretty self-indulgent. Right now I'm in Cork, spending time with my mom, which is awesome and great, and I'm sure she's enjoying torturing me, which she tends to do. Why haven't you done this? You should really do that. You know you have to. And it's like, yes, I know. I love you, Mom. I know. But that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about migraine. So, you may have noticed that my vlogging is kind of spotty. It's much more frequent than it was, and I'm gradually creeping it back up again. But it has been more regular than this in the past. And part of the reason for why it's so spotty is I have, for the last 3 weeks, I've had one continuous migraine. And I had about a week's break, or maybe a week and a half's break before that, and then I had another one before that that lasted for 2 weeks, and so on, all the way back as far as my surgery. So that was actually before my surgery, March. And it's pretty horrible. These are different. They're very different to what I'm used to getting as a migraine. There's lots of different types of migraine. I mean, there's everything from people who end up incredibly photosensitive without much pain, but the end result is that they physically can't go out into light. Believe it or not, that's a type of migraine. It's a type of migraine that affects anywhere that you have nervous tissue, parts of your nervous system touching. You can get a migraine there, believe it or not. And as I said, these have changed. These are different for me. My migraines used to not be photosensitive. They weren't sound sensitive, they were motion sensitive, and they were a hammering, grinding, horrible pain that would usually come out through one of my eyes. And actually I quite often go blind in my left eye when I had one. Pretty unpleasant. I would prefer that to what I have these days, which is, how to describe this? I feel like I have multiple nails going through my head. And I don't mean into my head, I mean through. My scalp feels like it's been turned into barbed wire and then turned inside and the inside out, and the barbs are rubbing against my skull. I'm very photosensitive, I'm very sound sensitive, and I'm motion sensitive. How in the frack do you win? And it's having a lot of negative effects on my life. One of them is I'm vomiting constantly. I mean, it used to be that I would maybe vomit once a day, maybe once every 2 days because of the pain in my stomach, which I still do. Pain in my stomach can be overwhelming. But with this, I am vomiting every day, multiple times, because the pain in my head is overwhelming. And if you watch my Let's Plays, you'll quite often notice that there's like a random cut somewhere, and I just continue on as if nothing happened. That's usually because I've ran to the bathroom, been sick, washed my teeth, and come back. So I'm vomiting a lot, and when that doesn't happen, and I'm not able to cope with it, or I'm not able to bull through it, I'm just not able to work. I'm not able to write, I'm not able to draw, I'm not able to record, I'm not able to edit. Rendering isn't a problem because I just hit the button and walk away. But it's a problem because I include other things in being in work. Things like walking my dogs, things like exercising. And it's difficult. Not least because lack of sleep. Now, last night was amazing. I slept in roughly three to 3.5 hour blocks, like 9 till midnight, and then about 1 o'clock till about 4 o'clock, and then about 6 o'clock till 9, and it was amazing. I can't remember the last time I slept like that. It was fantastic. My eyes were closed, and I didn't well, that's not entirely true. I did feel the pain in my sleep even, but I wasn't as aware of it. So that was great. But it's affecting me in other really odd ways. Like, you'll notice my hair is blue right now. That was really difficult because it hurt a lot. And I came home afterwards and I basically had to go straight to bed because I was in so much pain. Because my head being touched is agony. And that's the problem. It's a little thing, but I like my hair being blue. I like my hair being short and dykey. I am a dyke. I mean, of course I like my hair being short and dykey. But I often can't cope with my head being touched, so I can't get my hair done, which has a negative effect on my vision of myself, my self-perception, and a very negative one. There's more that goes into it though, because there's also the illness cycle, and if you're not chronically ill, you might not get this as such. But ow, ow, itch, ow. Everyone who has a chronic illness, by and large, has an illness cycle, a cycle of things that can go wrong, and they create a self-perpetuating loop. For me, it's my stomach and my migraine. Hold on. So, I have Crohn's disease. So, what can happen is I'm up all night going to the toilet, which means I'm sitting on the toilet, which is not exactly an ergonomic position. The end result being I get, first of all, a dehydration headache, but because of the position I'm in, it turns into a migraine. Eventually, they usually do anyway. The end result of that being that I have to take painkillers for the migraine. Fine. But I'm not sleeping and I'm not resting. So my body is getting more and more stressed. Stress with Crohn's disease leads to worse attacks. So I end up with even worse diarrhea, on the toilet even more, and the cycle continues over and over and over and over. And it doesn't matter how much you hydrate at that point, it's no longer a dehydration headache. And by the way, when it's bad enough, you can't keep up with the fluid loss anyway. So you have this illness cycle, and it's terrifying. The fear it fills me with is almost mind-rending, because when you're in that cycle, and I'm in one of those cycles right now, it's impossible to see it breaking. It's so difficult to see a break in it, because all you can think is, this is the rest of my life. Is this the rest of my life? Am I ever going to be out of this? Am I ever going to have a break from it? Am I ever going to be able to break this? And often the answer is no. And in addition to that, I have a friend who is a neurologist. She's a wonderful woman. I love her to bits, and her wife is a friend of mine as well. And actually, I knew her wife first, and this girl, she's spent some time with me and has said, you more than likely have cluster headache. What's cluster headache? Cluster headache is, depending on who you talk to, either the worst or the second worst form of migraine. Now, it's not a firm diagnosis because it's not a clinic diagnosis, but to her mind, it's what I have. Cluster headache has another name. It's called the suicide disease, because the pain is so severe, it's so violent, it's so all-encompassing that a lot of people commit suicide. They can't cope with it. It drives them to suicide. Now, it's not the kind of pain, it's not the kind of thing that would ever drive me there, because I know pain, I understand pain, and I'm better able to cope with it than most people. But I can understand why they go there. I genuinely can, because it is horrifying. It's the kind of pain that follows you into sleep, if you can sleep. You end up losing days and days and days of your life to just lying in the dark with an explosion going off inside your head over and over and over and over. You end up with weird symptoms like, I don't know the proper name for it, I call it a head explosion, where I'll be just drifting off to sleep, the pain will spike, there'll be this immense noise inside my head and a feeling like my head has exploded. First of all, it scares the shit out of me because I feel like there has been an explosion in my room, but it also means I don't sleep. Lack of sleep is not a healthy thing. I mean, I'm a high-functioning insomniac, but even I need sleep, because the alternative is you go slowly insane. Quiet, Jack. Stop laughing. It's horrifying, and it's terrifying, and it scares the shit out of me. And I've yet to figure out coping mechanisms for it, beyond lie in the dark. I haven't figured anything else out yet. I'm sure there are coping mechanisms. I'm sure I will find a way to be more functional and more alive with it. But right now, I don't have answer. I will eventually find it. But in the meantime, just understand that if I miss a day of vlogging, that's why. It is what it is. But yeah, as I said, this was massively self-indulgent, but I really felt the need. So I hope you all have a great weekend. I'll be back on Tuesday with another vlog, which I'll be recording in about 5 minutes time. Be good. Bye for now.